It is the job of people who have already developed these relationships to push back and say, what you're doing is not okay. But the rule of the cliques right now is never criticize, never ever say, I don't like that. And it doesn't have to be public and it doesn't have to be shameful, but it needs to be private. When we talked before about the context of tweets being lost, I'm going to give you the example of one where without context, nobody understands it. It's not come up in the media, but it is the one that hurts my soul the most. So Colleen has been a long time, again, volunteer. Her social circle is largely people associated with the local conservative constituencies, both federal and provincial. They're following her on Twitter. They know what's going on. On November 6th, around 3:30 in the afternoon, someone else, another person, woman, posts a...
What year?
2019.
Okay, so November 2019, go on.
November 6, 2019, around 3:30 in the afternoon, there's a post that goes out that falsely claims that two students were told at their Remembrance Day ceremony 5 days later, they would have to wear a rainbow poppy.
And I remember that because my platform was blowing up over it.
So the two students object. They say that Remembrance Day is for veterans and not for the LGBT community, and we're not going to do this, and they get suspended for hate speech. That's the concept of the post. You can post a copy in the comments below.
Yep, I remember it. Yep, I will.
So 5 p.m., Colleen sees, at some point just before 5 p.m., so the post's been up about an hour and a half-ish, she sees it and starts promoting it in her social circles, and she sees the first comment is she praises the bravery of these two young women. 3 minutes later, she suggests that CGOB investigate this. Hey, that's a reasonable quote. Reasonable tweet is to say, I want someone else to investigate this and see if it's true. Okay, could follow along. 5:33, 30 minutes after the call for investigation, Colleen posts Stonewall Collegiate Interlake School Division.
Which was never mentioned in the original post.
No.
No school was ever named in that original post. And I actually remember this very well because my late husband, who passed away in 2018 of complex PTSD from serving in our military, was a veteran. And my social media was blowing up over this because people wanted me to get involved and like jump on this bandwagon in support of veterans. But we didn't have enough information. It was just a tweet that someone said this happened. There was no evidence, no proof. And because I declined, it was interesting, but go on.
So naming the school directs hate from across the internet, more than just Canada, down upon Stonewall Collegiate.
They had to make like public announcements and all of that.
Multiple public announcements. There were concerns for the safety of the students and staff. And this hits home for me because in my for-profit life, I am responsible for the security systems and access control systems in most of the schools in rural Manitoba, or at least northern Manitoba. The last thought in my head when I go to bed at night is, have I done enough that if someone directs a threat towards a school, will the students and staff be safe? That is literally the last thought in my head before I go to sleep 5 nights a week.
And by naming this school without any evidence, Colleen technically was being very, if it could have been ugly. Like it really could have
been very ugly, and it endangered people that had no part in any of this. They had done nothing wrong. They were innocent. So anyways, that is upsetting on its own, but it gets a little bit worse. So by the time we get to November 8th, that's 2 days later, it is widely broadcast across Canada on every major news service. This is fake. This is a hoax. This didn't happen. Colleen is still engaged in a conversation at that point on that very Facebook post or tweet lineage there, and she is defending her comments. Okay, she's not accepting it's fake. Whatever, moving on. That
goes back to what you said about the othering. Like, even if I'm that cognitive dissonance, it's like, here I am, my views are proven wrong by actual facts, so I'm just going to dismiss the facts as fake news. We see that in Trump every day.
Yeah. Then November 11th, 5 days later, 3 days after it is widely known that this is a false story, but 5 days after the original post, Colleen Robbins is chosen as this federal riding's representative to lay a wreath on a cenotaph on behalf of our sitting MP, Larry Maguire. That in that moment, on that day, after what she had done, she is probably the least deserving person in the entire riding to represent us and lay a wreath. And yet, if you're inside the clique, the one rule of the clique is you never criticize or hold responsible anyone else inside the clique for their misdeeds. So there was no, hey, we should rethink this. I can't find a single apology online. I can't find any retraction. In fact, the tweets remained up until this year. They weren't ever rethought, re-edited.
So this isn't, like Colleen Robbins deleted tweets because she went, damn, you know what? I was so wrong when I did this. I'm going to backtrack and just get rid of it. She just left everything up there for years for people to view, people to see until she decided to run for office.
Yeah, and this was known to the people who followed her. Again, now that doesn't mean every person reads every tweet, but you don't have to know everything to get a feel for it. And this is what's upset me. This is why when I stood up and said the candidate in this election that most closely resembles my values was not the one in my party.